All right, so I know it's been a while since I last uploaded a video, and I want to get into why that is. Because I think there are a number of people who can really relate and resonate with this, and it might also save a certain number of people from having to experience it themselves. So, over the past 6 months, I've really come to realize that as human beings, time is one of our most valuable assets. And we should really be wary of how we give it away to other people. So, this past half year, I've really wanted to figure out a way to create consistent income. And I have done that. So, what I've done is I've structured my business to kind of revolve around mostly retainer models for clients, which 6 months ago that sounded like a great idea. But as soon as you start to sign up these clients on these monthly retainers, you realize how much work it actually is once you get going. So yeah, I basically went out looking for consistent income in my business and decided to settle on monthly retainers for clients, which I'm sure you've seen all over social media. Everyone's kind of pushing these monthly retainers. And it did seem like a good idea at the time. But in hindsight, I wish I had thought about how much time I was willing to invest into each client before actually hopping onto the retainer model. Because if you don't think about that in advance, you end up giving away copious amounts of your time. And so because of this, it really has made me rethink how I approach clients, and it's allowed me to kind of establish a mindset of knowing exactly what I want out of each client relationship and basically determining, is this going to be a mutually beneficial relationship that I'm getting into, and how much of my time will it consume? And will this potentially be detrimental to my physical, mental well-being? Will it take up some of my family time? So I've realized that I really have to think about all of these aspects when engaging in a new business relationship. Because really, like in reality, it kind of sounds cliche, but you always can make more money, but you can never gain back any lost time. So I think it's just become more and more apparent that you have to be very mindful about your time and how you spend it, who you give it away to. And so 2 years ago, my wife and I had a kid, and that really did shift my perspective on time and how fast time actually goes by. I know you hear that a lot from parents. They're always like, oh, our kids are growing up so fast. And it's really actually true. Like it does put into perspective how fast time goes by. Like my son's already turning 2 this month, and it really does feel like yesterday that he was born or he was just learning to crawl. And so it also makes me realize how I want to allocate my time. I want to be able to spend time with my son. I want to be able to spend time with my wife and be able to do all of the fun stuff with them. And so it's just like, it's very neat to be able to see your kid experiencing everything for the first time. You just realize how valuable time is and how truly fleeting it is. And we really have a tendency to take that for granted, myself included. I, for the longest time, took for granted the fact that, I'm young, time's on my side. When in reality, it's like our days when we are young are some of the most valuable. We're able to experiment more. We're able to try a lot of things that we maybe can't do when we start to age. We're able to meet new people a lot easier. And so we really have to kind of capitalize on every moment that we are alive and just really appreciate the miracle that it is to be here alive on this planet in this period of time. Like when you think about it, in the grand scheme of things, our life is just this tiny little blip on the overall timeline of the earth. Like we are we are meaningless in the grand scheme of things, but it is just such a miracle that each and every one of us gets to actually experience the joy, the pain, every single human emotion of being alive and being on this planet Earth. Like, I'm not like a really religious or spiritual person. I'm not atheist. I do believe that there is some higher power out there other than just ourselves. And just being able to pause, look around, and appreciate your surroundings and realize how beautiful it is to actually be alive. And so for me, another thing that I've discovered that truly wastes my time and I feel is, for the most part, a senseless use of my time is social media. Obviously, it has its purposes. Don't get me wrong, like I will occasionally post on there for my business to promote what I do. But for the most part, I think we can agree that a lot of us spend too much time on social media. And I don't know about you, but I'm not someone who doom scrolls or anything like that. I don't spend copious hours a day on social media scrolling through feeds and whatnot. But the time I do spend on it leaves me feeling somewhat empty. And I think too many of us nowadays are trying to find our identity through social media. And it's confusing because obviously with social media, we're being fed the highlights. We're being fed all of these videos that are performing well, getting lots of engagement. And the reason for that is because it really spikes certain emotions within us. So it can be very confusing because we could go from seeing one video that evokes this emotion of sadness to another one that creates this sense of rage within us, to a third one that then, creates this uplifting feeling of happiness. And all of it's just so fleeting. And we're just being told, how to think, how to feel, who we should be, how we should look. And it's confusing. So I think a lot of us, including myself, we just need to take a step back from these platforms and just kind of reevaluate who we are and what our identity is and what our kind of beliefs and kind of what our belief system is. Because I feel like a lot of us, including myself, kind of lose that sense of identity when we spend too much time on social media. And it's one of those things that you kind of look back to your childhood. I don't know what your guys' childhood was like, but so for me, I grew up outside of any sort of town and city, and we didn't have TV, we didn't have internet. We got to watch a movie once a week, and that was about it. And for the rest of the time, we spent basically outside or coming up with these games, using our imagination. And it really allowed us to create this sense of identity, this sense of purpose. And it just brought so much joy. So I think just by us spending so much time on social media, it really depletes that sense of purpose and depletes that sense of identity within us. We almost become shells of who we truly are. And so basically my goal for this next year is to spend as little time on these platforms as possible and really try to regain my identity as a human being and really my imagination, my creativity. I want all of that to come back to its fullest. And I want to kind of rid myself of the anxieties, the stress, and whatnot that is associated with these platforms or that are induced by these platforms for myself. It's one of those things that I feel like it's like an addiction. It truly is, because I'll even be like walking by my phone and it doesn't vibrate. There's no notification or anything like that, but I just feel like this urge to check it. Even though I know nothing's going on, there's nothing new, but it's just like this like deep urge that I need to check my phone because I think I'm missing out on something. So I think it's just like, it's just really toxic. And I just, you find yourself wasting away so much time kind of meaninglessly picking up your phone and checking for something new, anything. So I want to wrap this up because I've kind of gone on a bunch of different tangents. And if you stuck around until now, thank you. Appreciate it. Basically, what I want to say is we need to be very mindful about how we invest our time. So the time we invest into anything, we're never going to get that back. So going forward, I just really want to stop before I say yes to anything and just ask myself, is this going to benefit me? So I appreciate you guys watching this video. I know it's been all over the place, but I just felt like I needed to come on here and rant a little bit, just talk to the camera and just get my perspective across on this issue and what I've been dealing with. So I do want to I'm going to try to be a little bit more consistent on here. I want to share with you guys things that I'm learning, creative projects that I'm working on. And yeah, so for now, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.